Well, hello, my friends from Pharmacyclics. Welcome to week 7 of the Journey Forward. Welcome to one of my favorite topics. We're calling this one Stay in Your Circle. It's an important one. It will allow you to control the things you can control and influence and let go of all the things that you have utterly no control over. My name is John O'Leary. I will be your guide with you along the journey forward today. It's been a pleasure to be with you for the last 6 weeks. And I think this week is one of the most important in our lives as we pivot away from being victimized by the circumstances around us, whether they're in our past, in our present, or as we shut our eyes, possibly somewhere out there as we deal with angst in our future. Instead, as we embrace the gift of this day, recognize the foundation of our lives, of our work, is indeed firm, and the truth that the best of the days remain in front of us as we serve our patients, work with our teams, serve our families, and build the kind of life that we want to build going forward, not as victims, but as victors. I want to begin this episode by sharing with you one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite authors and favorite examples of living what he is indeed writing about. His name is Viktor Frankl. Frankl survives the Holocaust and shares some remarkable thoughts around mindset. One of his most well known is this. He says to the leaders of Pharmacyclics and to John O'Leary and to everybody else that has ears to listen, hey, listen, everything can be taken from a person but one thing, the last of the human freedoms. It's the ability to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way forward. This is advice given to us from our friend. His name is Viktor Frankl. And my friends, I think sometimes in life we need to heed those words that everything can be taken from us. We can deal with a pandemic. We can deal with global crisis. We can deal with unrest. We can deal with a pivoting challenge with technology. Zoom calls all the time, trying to get in front of physicians in a different manner, trying to get work done with the possibility of kids being at home in August and beyond. We can have all these circumstances, but even still, we get to choose our mindset, our movement, our words, our actions, and ultimately our results in any given set of circumstances. This is true today. It was also true for me as a little boy coming out of hospital. Although I made it home from the hospital, I struggled mightily once I got there. I want to show you, leaders, Pharmacyclics friends, a picture of what it looked like for little John O'Leary when he came home. So that's me, man, on the screen. I made it out, made it home, but I still struggled. My fingers had not grown back. My skin was still red and sore from my neck all the way down to my toes. I still found myself in a wheelchair 12 months into recovery. So I still can't do anything. And then I find out the following day they're going to be bringing me back to school. And I have all kinds of dread and angst and uncertainty and concern and dread and fear and anger around going back because I am certain that I'm a victim to these circumstances. I'm certain that others are going to treat me poorly, that they won't see me for who I am. That's what I'm sure of. And so I'm airing all my dirty laundry out into my father. I'm telling him how unfair life is. And I keep asking him, why me, Dad? Why me? It's unfair. Why me? And then my dad, who is one of the great heroes of my story, let me put a picture of him on the screen just for a moment. That's my dad up there on the screen. He does something he'd never done before. He leaves the bed where he'd been seated talking to me. He stands. He walks over to my bedroom door. He shuts it. Now I know I'm in trouble. Okay, the yelling's about to begin. That's what this means. I'm in big trouble now. Dad walks back over. He looks at me very compassionately and he says, John, damn it. You can be a victim to these circumstances for the rest of your life, and not a single individual that you encounter in the rest of your life will ever blame you for it. Your fingers have indeed been amputated. Your body has indeed been radically changed. You are indeed dealing with physical pain that no one else has ever dealt with in their lives, and they never, if they're lucky, ever will. So if you want to stay at the bottom of the heap, feel free, and no one will blame you. And then he said, or Pharmacyclics, or leaders listening to my voice, or little John as he looked into my eyes, or you can choose to be a victor over these circumstances. You can choose when they roll you into the schoolhouse tomorrow to show everybody else what is possible in their lives, that the challenges that they have faced are nothing, that the foundation of their lives remain indeed firm, and that the best of their journey does indeed remain in front of them. John, you get to choose. And then he stands. He looks down at me, puts his hands right on my legs, and he leaves me with a final thought. I'm going to put the final thought in front of you right now in quote version. You may want to write this down because I think it was true for this little boy, but I know it's true for all of us today. Here's what my dad said: John, pharmacyclics, leaders, servants, friends. You can be a victim or a victor to all you've been through and all that you will face. Ultimately, pharmacyclics, it's your choice. It's your choice. So how do we make the choice to not be beat down by the circumstances we currently find ourselves in? How do we choose to rise above? How do we work within our teams? How do we remain highly accountable to the great work we do? How do we serve our patients effectively? And how, after a very long day, do we make sure we take time for ourselves, our family, our roommates, our partners, our loved one, our children, our aging parents, our neighbors? How do we do this? Let me begin by telling you how you don't do it. You don't do it by playing victim to the circumstances around us, because when we do, it's not if. We all do this from time to time, and I'm guilty of this, man. I did it as a 9-year-old, did it as a 10-year-old, and I've done it periodically in my life subsequently. Probably did it as recently as this morning, man. I do it all the time, but you don't have to stay there. This is the opportunity. This is the gift that Frankel talked about and that my dad offered to each of us. You get to choose. Well, when you choose to remain beat down, when you choose to play in the pity party, the operating motivation of our lives is one ultimately of fear. Fear-based thinking, which leads to anger. Anger of all that we've experienced, all that we experience, and all that we might experience going forward. And that leads, of course, to pride. Not a healthy kind of pride, but the pride that eventually is going to steal and rob us from the joy of the day. We got a lot of bad luck because it's all about us. We're very self-focused, which leads, of course, to bitterness because life never goes the way we intended. We finger point, but the finger pointing is never in the mirror. We don't have a strong purpose guiding us forward. Everything that is around us is a challenge. Everything is just coming at us. We struggle with that because we have a lousy attitude. And it ultimately leads to sum this up in your lives, whether it's relationally, financially, spiritually, professionally, into misery. Just misery, man. It's bad. But there's a better way. There's a higher calling. It's the one that you and I are living into today, because what we recognize is we can be a victim or a victor to all that we've been through and all that we will face, pharmacyclics. And we recognize the gift, and it is a gift, that it is our choice. So today, with pens in hand, I'd like you to get ready to take some notes. We're going to put a little circle. We're staying in our circle today, controlling what we can and letting go of the things we cannot. Right in the middle of that screen of your life, draw that circle and begin pushing it outward, expanding it over the others, pushing those negative things to the outskirts, pushing back fear and challenges and pride and misery, and stop pointing the finger at everybody else and the lousy attitude and the self-focus and lack of purpose and all the bad luck and the fear and the anger. We're going to push it all over the outskirts. And today we're going to choose to control the things we have control over. And we are going to choose today to let go of the things we cannot. So rather than anger, we're going to step into this day with an operating motive of love. This will be our guiding light. This will be what gets us up early and drives us into the day. Rather than fear, baby, shut your eyes. Have some faith and confidence that the best is yet to come. No more bad luck. We're going to view our circumstances through the lens of recognizing we are totally blessed to live where we live, to live when we live, to have the job that we have, to have the ability to serve the patients the way we do with what we have. We have, unlike so many out there, we have a strong purpose. We have a selflessness about our lives. We recognize the better we serve our patients, the more successful we become. So we stay selfless. Rather than a lousy attitude, I love this one. We got ferocious optimism in the house. And rather than pointing the finger at every headline, every other politician, our old parents, our neighbors growing up, our spouse, our children, our whatever, we take ownership of the things we can't control and we let go of the things that we cannot. What a gift it is to be empowered to own our life going forward. It's the last of the great human truths. To choose your path, to seek instead of challenges opportunities, to shift away from bitterness and embrace forgiveness, to turn away from pride and to surrender. Surrender. That's not quitting. It's just letting go of the things you cannot control And rather than having everything be about misery, it's all bad out there, man, wrong. We see through the lens of joy, which is not Pollyanna. It's tough, it's resilient, it bounces forward, and it ensures that our best days are in front of us. So, leaders, friends, family, as we get ready to wrap up, we're going to have just a few exercises, and you will need a pad of paper. You will need a pen or a crayon or a marker as we wrap up this program today. But we're going to begin with a 30-second activity, okay? 30 seconds. That's all I'm asking from you right now. 30 seconds. On a piece of paper, I want you to write down every single thing that happened to you last week. Not everything, no. Every single thing that happened to you last week in the last 7 days that stole your joy, stole your effectiveness, stole your attention, kept you from performing at an extraordinarily high level. I want you to write down all the things that happened to you. Life kept happening to me, man. Oh, fine, I get it. Me too. Write down all that. You got 30 seconds. The clock is now running, so now it's down to 25. 22. You guys, I can see you. Pharmacyclics has invested in this technology that it makes it a two-way camera. Get out of your pajamas, by the way. It's late enough in the day that you should be fully dressed. Quit hitting snooze. Write down all the things that happened to you last week that stole your joy, stole your effectiveness, stole and robbed you from your attention to do great things professionally, relationally, spiritually, physically, all those things. 10 seconds. Come on. 5 seconds. Write them down. I'll wait. If you haven't started writing now, it's a good time to begin. How about COVID-19? Start there. Okay. How about the craziness of the technology that we are currently living in, man? How about doing more and more and more with less and less and less? How about recognizing that there's a high possibility for those of you with kids that you may have to homeschool starting August at some capacity? How about recognize the trend line seems like it's getting even worse? How about all the things going on in DC or Springfield or Sacramento or wherever you claim your home spot to be today? Oh man, it's bad out there. Write them all down. Doctor not calling you back, write it down. Dirty diapers, write it down. Perfect. Second thing now. I'd like you to circle the ones on that piece of paper that you actually have control over. In other words, you can no longer circle that tweet from Trump or Pelosi. You can't keep pointing the finger at that as being why your week was lousy. What happened in Sacramento or Springfield or my city, Jefferson, Missouri? Doctor, you can't control that one. Diapers, can't control that. Don't circle those. Right? Circle the ones that you actually have control over. This week and going forward, we are going to live within the circle of the things that we can influence. And we are going to stop paying attention to the things that we cannot. I find that we become experts at taking ownership over the things that you will never be able to own. Turn off the news. Don't be an expert at what's happening around you politically. It won't help you. It's going to harm you. It's going to give you nightmares. Circle the ones that you have influence over, that you can control. And then the follow-up this week, from those of you who have been wise enough to reach out to a world-class leader, a world-class human being, and a world-class coach. His name is Matt. He's going to guide you through an exercise, which is going to be this. So this week, what are you going to continue doing to be effective? What are you going to stop doing that is robbing you from your effectiveness? And now that you've let go of that, what are you going to start doing to become even more effective with the time that you have? We spend a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of words, a lot of dreams, a lot of prayers, a lot of heartache, a lot of dread on the things that are outside of our circle of influence. But no longer. Starting this week, it's on. We're going to control the things we can. We're going to let go of the things that we cannot.